First thing off, I'm really here to introduce Michael Popney, the next speaker, but I would not be doing justice here if I wasn't first welcoming all of you to the Brightwater facility out here. This is a facility we're very, very proud of. We just finished construction on this facility. The treatment plant actually started operating on September 6th. This facility you're standing in right now is really, we had an open house on September 24th, and as Bob said, this is the first major event that we've held here, so I welcome you all to this milestone event that we're having here. This is obviously a very, very big facility. We're very, very proud of it in the wastewater treatment division, not only the EECC, the building you're in right now, but I hope you have an opportunity to tour the treatment plant. It's the largest membrane bioreactor plant in the world, which really translated into it's the state-of-the-art in the wastewater treatment business right now. So we're the largest operating plant using this particular technology. And we have 40 acres of landscaped area to the north of us that basically was restored auto wrecking yards, and the forescape here is all open to the public. So we have 70 total acres of public parklands that we have out in front of us and around us that the public is actively using right now. It's really cool to see all the school groups and folks actually coming in here and using this facility. Plus a state-of-the-art odor control system here that's best in the world, world-class. We've guaranteed all our neighbors no odors from this facility, and we're already delivering on that. So just a little advertisement for Brightwater, and I hope you get an opportunity, if not today, but we have tours going through the facility all the time, so I encourage you to come out and do that. That's enough about the facilities right now. Let me talk about our next speaker here. I have the honor of introducing Michael Popney. He's the Architectural Design and Mitigation Manager for Brightwater. And Michael actually started working on this project in 1998. He was responsible for the site selection process, in other words, trying to work through all the different opinions of where this treatment plant should ultimately be sited. We went through that site selection process. In 2002, we actually selected this as a site for the treatment plant construction. We went through a design phase between 2002 and 2005, and then since 2005 we've been in construction, and obviously now we're operating. Michael is the heart and the soul of this project, and the look and the feel of what you see around you in this building and in the surrounding area here. He was instrumental in the development of the overarching design philosophy for the EECC, the North 40 mitigation area, and the plant layout itself and the foreground landscaping here. This facility focused on Brightwater being a community amenity, something the community would welcome as a plus to the neighborhood. The use of green building practices here whenever possible during the, basically to reduce the environmental impact associated with this very large construction project and the footprint that we present here. Michael is LEEDs accredited with the U.S. Green Building Council. He has taught nationally and internationally on green buildings and sustainability. Recently, he developed and taught a webinar for US EPA on sustainable construction approaches. He's also developed and taught a 6-day education program for the International Urban Training Center in South Korea. That was a project funded by the South Korean government and the United Nations, and it really focused on wastewater treatment, stormwater management, and habitat restoration, and looking at that as a total package. As a result of his work, Brightwater has received a number of awards, and will receive, I'm sure, a number of additional awards as we move forward with the opening of this facility. In 2005, we won an award for the Analysis and Planning Award of Honor presented by the American Society of Landscape Architects. In 2009, we received an award for the EECC by the American Society of Architects, What Makes It Green Award. And we just recently received the Green Project of the Year Award for this facility in the North 40 and the layout of this treatment facility. It was a Green Project of the Year Award in 2011, presented by the Northwest Construction Consumers Council. So, and as I said, I suspect we'll have numerous other awards for the work that's been done out here. And as I said, Michael's been a key person in terms of just making and developing the feel and the look of this facility. So with that introduction, I'd like to bring Michael Poppany up.
Bear with us when we try to figure out how to run everything around here. As Gunnar said, this is really the first time that we've had a large event in the facility. Let's see, I'm going to try to turn the lights down a bit. Those are fans. There. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I think this has a switch. Oh, not plugged in. Okay, so I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about what we've done here in the way of green practices. Next slide. So a little bit of an overview of the Brightwater system so that you understand everything that is a part of it. Talk a little bit about the sustainable practices, and then our Salmon Habitat and reforestation area, the Environmental Education Center, and a few thoughts to share. Next one. So why did we build this facility? Really to accommodate growth throughout our region. Got a little pointer here. This purple area is the service area that will be coming to Brightwater. Essentially what that did is to alleviate some of the flows that are going to South Plant and some that are going to West Point. And so it really allows us growth, you know, in the entire service area, which is a portion of Snohomish County, King County, and a small piece of Pierce County. You know, so the system was originally set up to follow natural watershed boundaries. And so we ended up in multiple jurisdictions, and hence this facility in Snohomish County managed and operated, constructed by King County. So along with the treatment plant site, we also constructed a 13-mile deep tunnel, a marine outfall. And then we will be providing reclaimed water from this facility, distributed. And I'll show you a little bit more about that as we look at a diagram of the system. Next one. Okay, so this shows the treatment plant site right here, north of Woodinville. And then these are the different portal locations. And the red line shows the trunk line coming into the facility, and then the blue line treated effluent going out. And the reclaimed water in that same pipeline so that we can distribute into the different cities along the conveyance route. Next one. So this is Brightwater before our construction. It was an auto parts and auto wrecking yards, about 2/3 of the site. And then we had a series of warehouse office buildings and a landscape business to the north. So this area that you're seeing in the photograph is the whole southern end of the site. And the site from just past this building, all the way to the south end, is zoned industrial. When you step over that, onto that bridge and out to the North 40, that is the rural district. And so we've preserved that forever as habitat and forest restoration, and then all of our facilities are located to the south of that line, essentially. Next one. So we're 114 acres. The Salmon Habitat, the reforestation area, 43 acres to the north of us. And then that 43 acres and the foreground landscape, gives us more than 70 acres of public open space, more than 3 miles of trails and educational signage. Okay, next one. So, I guess I was thinking about what are the real important things to say about this, about sustainable practices that we've used at Brightwater. Basically, it's not so hard. You're not going to see anything that you couldn't do in your own projects. And I think that's one of the important things about, sort of walking through the different things we did here, so that you can understand, there's no magic behind this. It's not all that difficult. We can all be using sustainable practices in our work and, sort of furthering the cause. So from the beginning, we started out with the idea that it's really important to use sustainable green practices in this project. And that starts with, your internal staff and your consultant team. Right from the beginning, setting the goals for your project, saying, these are important goals for the facility. 5 of the key sustainable practices: reuse of existing on-site materials, use of recycled materials, creating a balanced site. The cut and fill that we'll talk a little bit more about is probably one of the biggest things we could have done, is just the simple, keeping our excavations on the site and using them in a creative way to create the landscape and buffering of the facility. Restoring a degraded habitat and providing this facility for environmental education. Next one. Oh, perfect. Use of existing on-site materials. 3,900 tons of concrete were crushed and reused as structural fill. There was a tilt-up warehouse / office building in the front of the site. We evaluated it for multiple different uses. It never made sense to keep that large warehouse building. And so it was essentially crushed, turned into structural fill, and then the rebar recycled. So, using what's on the site and then also, reducing your costs by doing that. Next one. We also found on-site structures. It was a site used by multiple businesses that we relocated. And so after we moved and relocated the businesses, we were able to relocate and reuse some of the structures that were found on the site. One residential unit, a prefabricated commercial building was disassembled and reassembled in another location, and then a commercial structure was used. So, really just trying to figure out what's the best use of what you find on your site. Using recycled materials. This is just one example of recycled materials. The coal fly ash that was used in our concrete, 13,800 tons. And what is really interesting about this to me is that when you translate that into, an equivalent amount of carbon reduction, you're looking at reducing essentially what could have been 2,297 car trips for a year. And so, the things that you do have a pretty big impact. Next one. Creating a balanced site. So all of our facilities, and Bob touched on this, saying that there's a lot below ground. Well, there are 3 stories below everything, and when you'll tour the facility, you'll see that there's huge structures out there. So big excavations that were done. All of that was essentially carried into the foreground landscape and turned into landforms. So a dramatic landscape, buffering that the community wanted between the roadway and the treatment facility, and then also a series of pathways for the public to use. Another important piece of this, which I forgot to add to this slide, is the stormwater management system. So here you'll see ponds all the way across the front. Now that captures the on-site stormwater, and from there those overflow into treatment wetlands in the foreground landscape and then make their way to Little Bear Creek, which is one of the best salmon-bearing streams left in our region. So what we had in the past were 11 streams and watercourses passing over gravel parking lots that were auto parts and auto wrecking yards. So we have dramatically increased the quality of the stormwater that makes its way to Little Bear Creek. It's now collected in the ponds. They're settling, it's slowing it down, it's starting to cool it. It's then going through polishing wetlands before it makes its way to Little Bear Creek. So what was happening in the past was this flush of hot, dirty rainwater across the site and into Little Bear Creek. So, our stormwater system, managing our stormwater system and volunteering to increase the quality above standards, we implemented this system, and now very high quality water is entering Little Bear Creek across the way. Next one. So in balancing that cut and fill, we estimated that we reduced 925,000 truck vehicle miles. So it's something like 18,600 trucks that were originally estimated at a 50-mile round trip. And that saves you an enormous amount of truck miles, an enormous amount of carbon reduction, and also alleviates traffic impact and all the related slowing and additional vehicle miles related to slowing of the traffic. So that one simple thing of balancing our cut and fill on the site has a huge impact to the community and to our efforts in green or sustainable construction. Next one. Salmon habitat and reforestation. 43 acres to the north have been restored. When we first identified this site, the community said that northern portion of the site is a very important water recharge area for Little Bear Creek. We said that we would never use that for our industrial development, that we would restore that area and that would stay recharge area for Little Bear Creek. We reused more than 200 trees and root wads that were removed from Route 9 highway construction. So the highway construction happened at the same time. And we sort of bargained with them and got them to give us more root wads than they would have originally harvested. And so we used the root wads and the logs on this site, and we also traded them with other King County projects, because in some cases we needed smaller wood and other projects needed larger wood. And so there was a bartering back and forth. Well, you come and get those and then bring us the small ones. And we ended up with multiple habitats with improved woody debris for them. Let's see, where am I again? Recycled 15,000 cubic yards of compost. There was a landscape business in the north corner of the site. We found in the woods an enormous pile of compost. And it was filled with blue plastic tarps and pop bottles. And our contractor sifted and cleaned that compost and then ground it up, and it was enough to put 4 inches of cover on the entire disturbed area of about 20 acres to the north of us. So that alone, we estimated, saved us $400,000 in cost. Let's see, use excavated soil. Next one. We restored 1,300 feet of stream corridor. We added 350 feet of new corridor. The thing about that, we found one of the stream corridors was basically a ditch through the middle of a field, open to the sun, no cover, a field of reed canary grass. And you'll hear more about this if you go on the North 40 tour. But what we did was to remove all of the reed canary grass from the field, move the stream corridor over, restore it as a salmon-friendly habitat, and then turn the field into a forested wetland complex. So, that piece of ground gave us an opportunity to create multiple wetland habitats. Next one. 29,000 square feet of pond habitat created, an amphibian shelf. The pond habitat, originally there was a salmon ladder and a small pond that had very low water quality and very little cover. We brought the entire system down to grade and allowed and now have a at-grade connection with Little Bear Creek across the way. Next one. We also planted in 2 phases. The field, the wetland, the forested wetland, we left for a second phase of our construction, allowing the hydrology to reestablish after our construction. And as we monitored it and the reestablishment of the wetland complex, we then planted that. And that gave us a higher survivability rate of the plant material put in at that later time, because of course you're planting wetland related species. The site is a study area, so monitoring for 10 years and then that research usable for us within the county and other agencies and individuals. We're also starting discussions right now with the University of Washington about doing a number of different study plots in that area to better understand habitat recovery. Next one. We planted 23,000 native plants, all from our King County plant salvage and nursery program. Fabulous survival rate of those young plants provided by our own nurseries. Next one. This is just a series of aerial photographs of the North 40 as we reconstructed that area. So here you see the area cleared, the patches of vegetation that remained. Next. Then you can see the stream corridors being formed. So this was the stream corridor that used to be a ditch through the middle of that field. This stream corridor was basically underneath a parking lot, and the base of it went across the road and basically flooded out those residences across the way. So we open-aired it, lengthened it, brought it around to an upper pond, lengthened the stream, the whole system brought down to grade, a large pond, the salmon-friendly connection to Little Bear Creek. Next one. And then here you can see these landforms. Well, these landforms in this case, are also a landscape architectural feature, a design feature, but they also are all of the excavation that was required to create that salmon habitat system. Next one. And that's what it looked like when it was finished. And now, for those of you that take a walk out there today, you'll see that 4 years later, we've had an amazing recovery of that area. And the agencies have come down to see it, and they're using it for training with their own staffs as well. So it's been a very successful restoration project for us. Next one. This was the original rendering that we did many years ago of this building, 15,000 square foot education community meeting facility. It replaces a Grange Hall that was originally on this site. So it is a piece of our mitigation program in kind of multiple ways. One, it replaces the Grange Hall and the community meeting functions. And then it also allows us to home port our educational programs here. Next one. We are pursuing LEED Platinum for this building. And so I'll try to explain, a few of the features. And again, if you go on the tour with us, you'll hear more about this. And then also, you'll notice around the rooms, these little green plaques that are on the wall. And those, tell you the different green features that you see in the different areas. So not only did we, pick features of these buildings that, would reduce their energy, reduce their impact, reuse recycled materials, but we also chose the different characteristics that we used to be teaching tools over the years. So, next one. Natural ventilation and the use of daylight incorporated. So in the bottom of the windows, you'll see vents, and those vents will automatically open at night during the summer, and then fans go on, bring in cool air into this building, and essentially that's the air conditioning system. Energy efficient lighting. With the UW Light Lab, we modeled all of these spaces. And the skylight placement, the window placement, was all done for the best distribution of natural light throughout the day, so that you end up with the lowest energy use possible. The radiant floor heating, that's waste hot water from the treatment facility that's providing the hot water that flows through these floors, and also one of the techniques that we use for the domestic hot water in this building. Next one. This was an early rendering of one of the 2 student laboratories that you'll see, and that's the building to the south of us. So it's 2 student learning laboratories, an administration area, and then in this building we've got the catering kitchen, this large meeting room that can be divided into 3 spaces, and the exhibit hall. Low flow toilets, reclaimed water used for toilet flushing here, and then during the evening hours, the irrigation is provided by reclaimed water, and then the overflow from that reclaimed water tank will go to the fountain down the central roadway done by Buster Simpson, a huge purple pipe depicting our production of reclaimed water, the international pipe color for reclaimed water. Rain gardens that capture the roof water, and as I said, all of these building features used as teaching tools with our classes. Next one. Reclaimed timber, lumber, sustainably harvested wood. You probably noticed as you walked in under the covered walkway the large timbers. So those are all reclaimed from the Rainier Cold Storage Warehouse, resanded, refinished, and put up. And instantly when those timbers went in, people started telling me how much they liked them because they added so much character to the building instantly. High content of recycled building products. You'll notice in the restrooms, the stall dividers, 100% recycled pop bottles. You know, you'll recognize those colors. And, you know, it's one of those things about a recycled material. It's not all consistent, but I think that it adds a very interesting pattern to those enclosure systems. So you end up with, you know, a reclaimed product that's a little different than a standard produced product. And in a lot of cases, I believe it has more character and is more interesting than, you know, your standard building products. Solar panels. We have 4,000 watts of solar panel producing electrical energy for us. And that was a grant that we received from SNOPUD. We have a Friends of the Hidden River, which formed many years ago to help us support this educational facility, and they worked to gather grant money with us. And so that was one of the grants that they helped us bring in. Okay, so you know, what do we want to share? Practice adaptive management. Use the materials that you find. You know, your site is going to, in some cases, give you a wealth of materials to use in your product, in your project. Be flexible enough to use them. At Brightwater, we're able to divert 81.6% of all the construction and demolition debris. So that's a very high percentage that we were able to either reuse on site, redirect through recycling processes. More than 30 tons of material was reused in construction. Next one. As project design begins, think sustainable design, construction, and operation. So, you know, this is really you, your design team, your division, your agency, you know, setting goals early on, and then asking the team to work with you to get to those goals, to do the best that you can with green development and sustainable development practices. Involve the whole design and construction team. That's the other piece, is the construction team. The construction team on this building, we sat down with them when we started this building and told them, you know, what this building is meant to be and do and why. And it made a tremendous difference to them. You know, they were behind this project from the beginning, and you know, trying to give us, you know, the best quality on each of these, you know, sometimes unique features for them to construct. And you know, them working really hard along with us to make this happen. Sustainable design and construction features can be cost effective and good for the environment. We did save money on several of these features. Some cost a bit more, others saved us a lot of money. And so, you know, I think by the time you're done, it balances out. And certainly our energy costs and our, you know, cost of maintaining and running this building is a fraction of what it would have been done as a normal structure. So, you know, you really have to look at that long-term effect. You can't just be looking at, you know, what's your construction cost today. You know, you have to take into account your operations costs. And, you know, sometimes it's hard because you're compartmentalized. You know, your department doesn't really care about what operations has to pay. Well, you know, we all need to think about those things. Every project, next one, yeah. We need to lead rather than lag behind. You know, this is what I tell the classes that I work with in South Korea and Nepal, from developing nations. You know, we all need to be working to reduce climate change, climate effect. And, you know, each one of us really can make a difference no matter what environment you're in, no matter how sort of cost constrained your country is or your agency. You know, there's things that you can be doing to set the stage for the future. And it's important that we all do that and understand that the things we do, the things we say are meaningful. And, you know, they really do affect the way others look at their development. And I hope the way our visitors to this facility will look at their own homes and their own energy use. That's it. Any questions from you guys? Thanks very much.